Do you guys remember that ridiculous artillery-only challenge for Hearts of Iron 4 a couple of years ago? It was a big deal, to say the least, at the time. But what about artillery-only in EU4? For everyone. What if every nation in the world could only build artillery for the entire game? Well, I can tell you that it leads to some interesting outcomes, so let's load in and have a look, eh? Oh, yeah. This is going to be a good one. It's 1444, by the way. You're going to notice a lot of artillery unit models. Oh, this is going to be good. I love this. And I'm not sure how much I would have said in the intro, but I, in order to make it so the AI was at least somewhat competent with it, I made it so they cost the same as infantry. They can't build anything except for these kinds of units, the artillery, and they unlock them a tech earlier. So you have this one here, and then they unlock the next tier up with the bonuses to artillery at tech 7 and then 13 and so on. So this way they're going to actually be competitive, and they will engage each other in battle. Should be pretty good. Anyways, you guys know the drill. The only way to find out what happens, turn it on up to speed 5 and unpause. First war of the run. We've got a couple of boys over here. Sieges are very quick. Let's take a look at that. They've got an extra +5 from artillery, and they will siege them down quickly. And that is going to be the big one that determines early on, because essentially everyone's on an even playing field. But you can see here, they're going to siege down their capital in like 3 months, because it's only a capital fort. So that was a level 3 fort, I'm pretty sure, that they just sieged down. So yeah, things are looking very... Oh, this is so good. Sieges are going to be crazy. Bohemia seems to have bitten off a bit more than they can chew. They are getting beaten up on in this war. 68%. You see here, they've lost 54,000 men, which is kind of an incredible number to think about. 30,000 just for themselves. All of them are artillery. So yeah, Prague will fall fairly quickly, and that is a big L for those guys. Though very cool to see a Moravia with a Hussite leader and a Hussite state religion. So always cool to see it. The English are cowards and just gave up Maine to avoid war with the French, because they'd rather be over here sieging down Irish. Color me shocked. I can't imagine that it would ever happen like that. This war over here has been going on for like 8 years, and no signs of slowing down. Though it looks like Delhi is just refusing to surrender, so good on them. Meanwhile, Timmy doing their usual snake over here into Kashmir, so also pretty cool to see. And there you go, we have it. Though they can't form Delhi. Normally Sirhind will take Delhi and then form Delhi. They can't do that because they need Delhi to form Delhi, if you can believe it. Castile in a big war early on, attacking Granada, who's also calling in Morocco as well as their subjects, and Tunis, and they're clearly dominating all of it, because with an economy like what they've got, they can get a lot of artillery in the field. That's a lot of sieges that they can be winning very quickly. So good on them. So here is an interesting development. Moravia has taken some land over here from the Hungarians, but they actually took a province in Austria proper. Now they border Vienna. You may wonder how that happened, being a small little 2-province nation, because I'm pretty sure this was Austria as well. And my friends, it's because they allied the Ottomans, and the Ottomans helped them in their war, and they dumpstered them, and they took a bunch of land. So the Hussites and the Turks are allied, so. All right, dude. Meanwhile, out in the Middle East, we've got quite a bit of conquest going on. Looks like the Mams are going to annex Hassa here, and Hormuz getting eaten up by Timmy. So Timmy having a really solid start. They just straight up annexed those guys in the Mamluks. So yeah, we're seeing some really good power blocks getting set up. Ottomans are just now annexing Karaman, and we're like 10 years in, so things are a little interesting. A little bit of variety is something I'm definitely here for. Saxony just got annexed, split between Goslar apparently snaking them, and then Brandenburg taking some land. So that is one less Prince Elector in the HRE. Oh, and while we're here, a Pomerania has formed. Don't know who formed it, but normally it's just one of the Pomeranian nations annexes the other, and then they form Pomerania. Back in my day, Pomerania was a tag in 1444, but in Emperor they split them up. So always cool to see a united Pomerania. Oh, okay, so that's I didn't expect to see that. So Jaunpur formed Delhi. So that is a thing. I don't know if I've ever actually seen that happen, but it has happened. So there you go. Also, Spooky Mewar. They are very powerful. They have very strong military, though they have infantry combat ability in their national ideas, which will do them literally nothing. But they are quite a bit bigger than they were in 1444, so hopefully we'll see maybe like a Rajputana form. I would love that. Oh, okay, so here we go. We've got Austria beating up on Hungary, Croatia, who's lost quite a bit of land over here to this pink guy to the north. Though the pink guy to the north, Poland, has also taken some land in Silesia. Also taking land in Silesia, Moravia. So we are seeing some pretty interesting power blocks popping up. Ducal Prussia is here. East Frisia, all the way from Friesland over into Oldenburg. So you love to see the small little one province minors just pop off and have, you know, quadruple their starting states. I always appreciate that. Ottomans are doing their thing, though Byzantium has been left as a one province minor over here. And then the Mams are pushing down into Nubia and haven't changed any much over here, though. Of course, the generally inevitable downfall of the Timurids is here. Looks like Fars with a pretty weird color. I like yellow Fars better. They are over here annexing some Timurid lands, and then Khorasan, which is not at all close to Khorasan, is not looking good for the Timurids either. Up in the Rusland, it looks like Muscovy has pushed over to Neva. They have Novgorod. Denmark has eaten more of Novgorod. I think this is like Arkhangelsk or whatever, is also in the Muscovite hands, but the rest is actually still Novgorod, still existing. Pretty cool. But I do love clicking through these nations, like France, 42,000 artillery. England, 46,000 artillery. The Ottomans, 51,000 artillery. And it's only gonna get bigger and bigger as the game goes on. Ah, here we go. So Hungary actually is a personal union under Austria. Austria, who is indeed backing up Moravia in a war, because it looks like Poland bit off a bit more than they can chew and attacked like all of this. Venice is helping them, though. Aragon and Naples is intervening on the other side. People just keep on intervening, and it's two different wars. But yeah, things are looking pretty messy over here. It looks like Moravia is just involved with Poland and the Ottomans, and Hungary apparently is helping Moravia, but Austria is not, or they pieced out or something. I genuinely don't understand what's going on right now, but it's not looking good for Poland. Yeah, Polska, not so good. Oh, yo, so I was going to bring you back to show you that Moravia had pieced out and snaked Poland just a little bit, but it actually turns out that there's a second war going on with Poland and Albania, a coalition war. So Poland is getting coalitioned by quite a bit, 113,000 artillery to their aid. So yeah, Poland is definitely done. I thought they had Lithuania, but it doesn't look like they do. Maybe they were released in a truce or something along those lines. I don't know exactly how that works, but yeah, they're not friends anymore. So yeah, it is Jover for Poland. They released 2 tags over here, Wallachia maybe, and then they are now getting, you know, a couple of enclaves. They randomly occupy this over here, and I don't know what's going on. I really don't understand what's going on. But in other news, we do have a French over here in Italy, so something we're gonna have to keep our eyes on for sure. Curious why France has not been so aggressive to kick the English out of Normandy and Gascony. English are doing this in Ireland. So yeah, I don't understand why they're not really fighting. Oh, and I always have to point it out when I get the opportunity. Gotland. Let's go, dude. Well, my friends, it appears that Prague is now a Sorbian occupation or province, and meanwhile, Burgundy is Aragonese. So there you go. Aragon got the Burgundian inheritance, which I'll be honest, I don't know if I have ever seen the AI do that. A little farther to the south, Castile is doing good, completely dominating the Maghreb, which is also very impressive. I can't believe Portugal has not taken anything, but Castile also does not have the Iberian wedding. So Aragon and Naples are independent, so we might see a little bit of cool variety there. Meanwhile, over in the Indian region, Sind has crossed over into Baluchistan. Fars has very much expanded into southern Persia, and the Timurids have been isolated over here in like Afghanistan and Kashmir. And then we have Dang over here. Always cool to see. And Oirat completely crumbled with Buratia over here. I'm pretty sure it only can spawn via rebels, so very rare tag. Used to be in the game like a while ago. I think they used to be like up here in like Baikal. So very cool to see them. Oirat very small. Korchin very big. And Korea very perfectly 1444 borders. Colonization is underway with Cape Verde going to the Portuguese, and that is it. I lied. They also have Bermuda, but that is actually it. Oh, yo, big Muscovy alert. They annexed Ryazan and then a ton of Sweden, all of Finland from Sweden Novgorod is a 1 province minor up here. Sweden has 1 random province over here in Finland, and they've annexed all of their subjects except for Pskov. We're going to see a very strong Russia by the looks of it, which I am always here for. Meanwhile, the Ottomans have pushed into the Pontic steppe, and it looks like they're probably pushing into Syria. So far, so good for the Ottomans. So far, not so good for the Mams. Also, as per usual, French are beaten up on the English on the continent, and the English are beaten up on the Scots up north. Oh, how the turntables! Looks like England is actually getting the occupations. And remember, artillery is going to let you siege down forts quite quickly, especially when you're still sitting on those like level 1, level 2, level 3 if you have a capital fort. But the main reason is because Austria-Hungary intervened on France's behalf. And obviously that's going to be going much better on the continent for the British. And we're probably going to see the collapse of the French, if I had to guess. Y'all, it is almost 1500 and it is absolutely hit the fans over here. Naples is in Trieste. Austria is getting ganked by Moravia and Venice at the same time in separate wars. And it is just, this is crazy. This is actual insanity. Moravia attacked Poland and then attacked Austria while in the war with Poland because they had no troops. The Ottomans are backing them up, and then Venice attacked Austria in a separate war. This is pure chaos. Just look at this. That is actual insanity for 1500. Just look at these numbers. In 1 year, 80,000 cannons have died. Austria has 30,000 less than these guys have. And then the war over in for Bessarabia, this is an Ottoman conquest. They have absolutely steamrolled over them. Looks like Poland was weak in the beginning. So yeah, I don't see a way that the Ottomans and Moravia's alliance doesn't just like carry them. This is crazy. This is so good. And I just can't believe that a Hussite Moravia has allied the Ottomans. That makes it way funnier in my opinion. Oh, also Bohemia's back, apparently. Sorbia like collapsed and now they're just 2 provinces over here. So they had all of it, but they're back. So welcome back, I guess. Colonization is slowly underway with Portuguese Haiti over here. And that is it. Yeah, these wars go so fast with the sieges. Like they're sieging down level 2 forts in like 2-3 months because it's just a full stack of artillery. So if you can blitz them down, you will win very decidedly, very quickly. Like they're at 86% and there you go. They just took Budapest. So, oh my gosh, Great Moravia looking very great. They also snaked up here in Poland. So that's also pretty good to see. While we're here, I guess we got to take a look at Brandenburg getting dumpstered by a little coalition over here. They've got their friends of Pest, but doesn't look like it's going well for them. They just pieced out and released these guys. So yeah, rip those guys as well. And after France lost their war to England, looks like it is time for Castile to get in on the fight with Brittany, for some reason over here occupying some land while they are occupied by the English. So yeah, we're probably going to see France collapse. I'm surprised the English didn't take more. They took like 2 provinces over here in their previous war. It's okay. I mean, the French are still falling, which is a win in my book. Brandenburg looking very terrible, though it looks like they actually got in on the corpse of Poland, so they've migrated a bit. Looks like they may be working their way over into Prussia. That'd be pretty cool. And speaking of Prussia, still no Reformation, but how about that orange? Very nice, beautiful, kind of saturated orange color. I've always loved the Hussite orange ever since it was added in Emperor. Great color, great religion. And a few years later, we have a Great Britain on the map. Brandenburg looks worse because they have also gotten snaked by Moravia, who's got the most disgusting borders I have ever seen an AI do, and I am very much here for it. I love seeing Moravia do well. I love seeing Poland not do well. It's just like anytime you can get a little bit of variety, I'm very happy with this. Also, how about a Zaporozhye Eyalet or whatever for the Ottomans, who have pushed over into the steppes and not so much into the Mamluks land. So pretty cool to see. And speaking of snaking, Ethiopia pushing their way over here into sub-Saharan Africa, very funny to see. And a snake, a tendril, if you will, of the Ming pushing all the way over here into Ladakh. So very cool. India's still got its normal hug boxes here, though it looks like Sind is about to get eliminated from that one by Mewar, because as you guys know, Mewar never changes. Japan looking pretty messy with Ashikaga losing Kyoto to Yamana and then Usugi up in the north. Korea doing their thing over here, and Manchu forming from who I assume is Jiangsu, so very nice. Colonization is moving along with Rio de Prata and Brazil over here, with Caribbeus forming, or Caribus, or however that is pronounced, and then up here we've got Quebec being colonized by the British with the Norwegians over here in Newfoundland. So definitely a little bit of variety, and I am a big fan. So about 100 years in, Castile is over in the number 1 spot with the Ottomans right behind him, with Ming in the 3rd spot despite not embracing a single institution, Muscovy in the 4th, with Great Britain in the 5th, the Mams in the 6th, France in the 7th, and Portugal in the 8th, with only 360 development. And you got to remember, some of that is tied up into their subjects, so they have 280 of their own. So I imagine that we're going to see some new nations in the Great Powers as the game goes on. Well, my friends, I was wrong about France. Looks like them and Great Britain are having a race to Westphalia. And France has taken a detour down into Bavaria. But that Westphalia looking pretty dang good, as is Moravia over here. And Venice, who is splitting Italy with Castile. All right. Of course, Russia has formed, and they are doing their relentless push east. Oirat is back, and Shun has popped out of the Ming, who is currently in the process of falling. Japan has united and is taking a bunch of land over here, with Manchu, a 1-province minor in Manchuria. The Indian blobs are Indian blobbing a little bit more even. I think Mewar has grown quite a bit. I know they were at war with Sindh last we looked. Balmanis over here getting beaten up by Jaunpur Delhi, and probably going to lose if I had to guess. Mayams have expanded quite a bit from Benghazi all the way down into Ethiopia, all the way over to the tip of Oman, though they've got a very scary Ottomans bearing down on them. And yeah, it's not looking good for them. Very funny to see these Austrian provinces over here. It's because they had like 2 provinces here. They lost one to Moravia, but then since they had a core, they just started taking a bunch of land around them from Lithuania as they crumbled. So that's pretty funny. Also, Westphalia and East Prussia. Okay. The colonial game continues with Russia making their way over into Brazil, with Portugal taking Peru and Colombia, and apparently Mexico as well. And I believe this is the Danes making their way over into Havana, Unana, and then down into Chitimaca, which is actually New Orleans. Other than that, we have the Castilians over here on the East Coast getting Florida, with Finland going to Denmark and Newfoundland growing slowly but surely for the Great British. Though you hate to see Gotland with their gains getting lost to the Danes. That's pretty sad. That also rhymed. Sounded pretty cool. Hey, Ming, you don't look so good, man. You feeling all right? Don't worry though. They still have Beijing. They just don't have anything else. They've got Russia over here, Shun over here, Transoxiana looking very big over here, and then all this stuff going on in the south. Safe to say Ming is done for. Though something you don't normally see, Manchu has grown, looking a little bit like Ohio on this province, but Korea has grown. They have lots of land in Manchuria, and they even took like Qingdao or whatever this is over here. So very cool to see Korea growing. Oh, and I almost missed it. They took some land over here in Japan. So Korea has chosen violence, it appears. Indian blobs have done a bit more of their blobbing, with Delhi and Vijay splitting, pushing Balmanis into Gujarat, with Ottoman Western India looking a little menacing over here. Mewar sadly has fallen, and you know, it is what it is. Oh, and one Ming province over here randomly in the Himalayas, so there you go. Mam's still holding on there 200 years into the game, which is pretty cool, with the Ottomans barely pushing them back because they've chosen to push into the Rus instead. Westphalia over here continues to gain like random land, which I don't understand how that's happening. They may be the emperor for all I know. I'm gonna have to take a look. But Denmark is over here, not looking good. Lubeck is here. It's honestly just really strange seeing like Frankfurt over here doing really well. Rothenburg, who's a 1-province minor right here, doing pretty solid. Thuringia not looking like a PP, but you know, we'll take what we can get here. And the Sorbs have pushed back in to Prague, and they have reclaimed their old land. Vienna is proudly in possession of Great Moravia, and Castile has annexed all but 2 provinces from Aragon and taken all of Naples. So Shadow Castile haven't formed Spain yet, which is funny, but they're doing pretty good. New World is also looking pretty funny, with 1 Russian province over here. The rest is going to Castile and Brazil, Portugal in the rest of South America, with North America looking a bit more like it did before, with the Caribbean and Mexico going to the Portuguese, the West Coast over here going to Castile, and then Florida competing with the 13 colonies over here, though we do have Denmark with their capital here in New Orleans. So I'm a huge fan of this. I love these little plot twists, always my favorite parts of runs. Portugal owns 1 province up here. Vinland is entirely over in like whatever this is, like New Hampshire and Boston, I think, like Massachusetts. The rest is all Newfoundland. So Newfoundland won the war for, you know, Canada or whatever. Of course, we did have the Reformation with the Protestants in the north, Reformed over here, and then Anglican over here, looking pretty good, though I definitely have to say Hussite is my favorite of all of them. I said it earlier and I'll say it again. It is such a gorgeous color, and I am always going to advocate for it. Also, shout out Ethiopia, converting a bunch of land in sub-Saharan Africa. That is good. With a little under 200 years left, the Ottomans well out in front, followed by Castile and their colonial empire, followed by Portugal with their colonial empire, but Russia over there in the 4th spot, very competitive, followed by France, Great Britain, Transoxiana, and my friends, we have almost 1,000 development going to Korea, the number 8 great power. That is beautiful. Yeah, now I really feel stupid for saying that France was going to collapse, because I should never count France out, especially after domination. They're huge. They're probably the biggest power in Europe. Not the biggest power with land in Europe, but the biggest power based out of Europe. The Ottomans are here, though I don't think they're going to be here for very long. They're currently losing a war to Castile, who lost some land to France. So that's a thing. And then big old Russia still doing their thing, taking all of Jutland and then some land over here in Russia and Frisia. And this is not Russia. This is revolutionary Franconia. So similar colors, different nation, but obviously the revolution is here. Westphalia pushing for those imperial German borders, though I don't think they're going to get it. And as much as it pains me to say it, Great Moravia is on its final stand. They're not looking good. Last time I looked, they were all full occupied, and you know, it is what it is. You can't be too upset. They had a really good run. Love seeing the Mams still like somewhat powerful, just now they're a regional power in like Nubia and the Horn of Africa rather than Egypt, so that's pretty good. Vijay ended up being the major nation over here, taking Bengal from Bengal. So they're over here in whatever, Tibet, I guess this area is called, Tibet and Burma. Delhi still doing good. Transoxiana was all of this, but you can see that the Ottomans have been snaking them a bit. Obviously, Russia continues their domination over here, but Korea is the major power in East Asia, which is just so good. Korea is probably my favorite tag in like the Asian sphere, and I love seeing them do well. Portuguese Indonesia and Vietnamese Indonesia have a good ring to it, but how about Korean Moluccas? Everybody getting in on a little bit of that colonial action with Russian Vegelkop Peninsula. So, all right, man. Australia and New Zealand are mostly Spanish, but we've got a little bit of Portuguese and even a couple of Ruskies hanging out. Still got those Ruskies in South America as well, though the rest is remarkably similar to what it was before. Up here, British Louisiana has filled in and sadly annexed the Danes that were down here in like the state of Louisiana. Other than that, yep, it's pretty much what it was before, at least as far as I can tell. It just filled out. The Westphalia popping up here and doing well while being Catholic is like probably my favorite thing from this entire video. That mixed with the Hussite Moravia, both of those are equally as cool. And yeah, the revolution is here. It looks like it's mostly in Portugal, Westphalia, and Glogo, or however that's pronounced. Though Franconia and then Frankfurt are the only boys who have taken it. And then whoever this is over here, I don't actually know. Lusatia. What a flag, man. What a flag. Branco Hope. Cool. And the revolution actually spawned up here in Hamburg, which is actually pretty cool. I'm fairly certain that the revolution that happened after the war that led to the Weimar Republic, or at least, you know, was preceded the Weimar Republic, was in northern Germany. I don't know exactly where it was. If you know, let me know in the comments below. Regardless, we have a Russian Iceland to go to the number 5 great power with 2,700 dev in Russia. Ottomans still well out in front, but I don't think it's going to last. I imagine they're going to have a pretty precipitous fall, as we are now in the age of revolutions with Portugal, France, Castile, all those colonial nations up there, though I don't think French has a whole lot of colonial land. It looks like most of their land is actually their own, actually 100%. They have no colony, so count me out on that. Great Britain and their colonial empire doing pretty good. Korea climbing up to the 7th spot from the 8th, with Westphalia here in the 8th, and an economic hegemon stacking up for Great Britain. Oh, so I had mentioned in the previous check-in that the Ottomans were probably not going to be doing as well when we checked in for the final time. And yeah, I would say that I was correct in that assumption. They are currently mostly occupied by the French, with some Venetian occupations going on. And that's not it, because the Russians are occupying the rest. The colors are just similar enough you can't really tell. So yeah, they're like 100%ed. So rip the Ottomans. And on the flip side, we've got a nation that is doing pretty good. Feeling quite good, with lots of land in China, Korea, absolutely, with the like peak borders, in my opinion. Transoxiana got pushed back by the Ottomans. It looks like they pushed down into Tibet to kind of make up a little bit of that lost territory. Obviously, they couldn't go up north because reasons. Though VJ finishes with very respectable borders. Sadly, it looks like the Ottomans took a nice little chunk out of them before the end. But hey, if time went on a little bit longer, I'm sure they would probably get back at least some of that. And it's really funny to see the Mams over here just chilling with Ethiopia exiled to like the interior of Africa. That's pretty funny. The rest of Africa was all colonized, right? We've got the Ruskies, the French, the British, and of course, Castile. And North America didn't change at all, from what I can tell, except for British Louisiana somehow taking over a bunch of land from the Spaniards. That's literally it. Maybe a couple of extra French provinces that weren't here before, but borders remarkably similar for like 120 years passing. Even down under, it's still very much like split up like it was before. Couple of Russians over here, though. It looks like we've got some occupations going on over here. I'm not sure who is occupying who, but yeah, there's some occupations. Though, shout out Katara. I don't even know who that is, whether they're one of these like Lake Victoria natives or Central African natives, whatever. It's good to see. They're doing well. And it is a bummer to see Westphalia had lost Prussia, but I'm very happy to see that Moravia made it through to 1821. And it looks like, my friends, they are looking to reconquest some land, some long lost land from like hundreds of years ago from the Ottomans over here in Slovakia. Scream if you love Slovakia. And last but not least, shout out Iceland coming back, an independent nation, a nation once again. We finish with the Ottomans remaining the undisputed #1 great power of the world, with Castile and Portugal and their colonial empires behind them. France, with most of their development tied up in the mainland, very impressive in the 4th spot. Russia in the 5th. Korea climbing up all the way to the 6th spot. They were 7th last time we looked, and 8th before that. So shout out Korea, 3,500 development over Great Britain with a colonial empire, and VJ in the 8th. You'll love to see it. We've got naval hegemon going to the Ottomans, though they're going to lose that very shortly, and military hegemon going to the French, which is very, very scary. Religiously, there is hardly any Protestant or Reformed anywhere in the world, with Anglican over here and in the lowlands, with Orthodox, the religion of the day, outside of like middle Western Europe. They've even converted quite a bit of land over here, and they are looking very, very good. Glad to see Coptic did well. It actually looks like they even converted some land down over here. So Ethiopia at its peak was actually even better than I thought they were. Shinto converting over here, but Korea is Confucian, so they just, you know, synchronized it or whatever, harmonized it. And then Orthodox converted all this land, even northern China, which is so crazy. But even crazier is this Theravada Buddhism was converted by this Mahayana Buddhism, which is basically just Vietnam. So Dai Viet conquered all this land and converted it. So that's awesome. New World, outside of the one Russian province, is all Orthodox except for the British colonies are all Anglican. Looks like we had some Polish migrations into the north and a little bit of Lithuanian over here, with maybe some Novgorodian and definitely some Muscovite pushing the Finns out of here. So Karelians, never heard of them. So shout out the Crimean culture, almost as impressive as Muscovite culture, which is probably the largest one in the world, if I had to guess. Since Manchu formed, it is now part of that greater Chinese group. And how about Gondi? Just massive. And this Rajasthani, I think that has also been converted at least a little bit. French did a little bit as well, pushing Occitan over here into Sardinia, Piedmont, and Gascony into the Basque countries. New World, American and English, though you can't count out the Danes and the Norwegians, looking pretty good, with Mexican and Castilian, with a bit of Portuguese over here in the central portion. So all of this over here is Mexican, mostly outside of Mexico, except for like a couple of provinces over here. So that's pretty funny. And then down in the south, we've got Portuguese, Brazilian, and then Platinian exclusively in Brazil, which is really funny. I always love when the cultures get mixed up like that. But big shout out to the Muscovite. Love seeing colonial Russia. That is awesome. Obviously, they didn't stay with it. They gave up their colonies, except for one province over here and some stuff in Africa. I'm pretty sure Madagascar was like purchased by them for some part of time. I'm not 100% on that, actually. And an honorable mention to the Holy Roman Empire with Emperor Mohammed of Portugal in charge, with electors of Glogo and Westphalia, who are the only 3 nations that make it up, except for Moravia is apparently also a part of the HRE. But they're not going anywhere because they're a PU under Russia, bro. That one was absolutely incredible. I love it. Artillery only, definitely a great success. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you making it all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you in the next one.